Hi folks, welcome to the Garage 68 YouTube channel. First video, so thanks for joining me. Put some pictures of this project up on the internet and it picked up a bit of interest, and I had a lot of people ask me for a YouTube video, or at least a YouTube channel, just to document some of the build. Now, yeah, I thought it was worthwhile just doing a bit of a video now, just say thanks for all the interest we've had, like the Instagram account. If you're following it on there, you've seen quite a few pictures of what we've been up to. If not, then I'll run through it now, but yeah, thanks for everyone's interest so far. Definitely, like, if you're keen and you want to follow some more of the build, then yeah, chuck a comment in, ask me some questions. If you subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff will spur me on to do more videos. For now though, I think this video I'll just have a bit of a run through of what we've done so far. For sure, if you've seen it on Instagram, you'll probably see most of this, but at least I can talk you through our thinking behind some of our design, what parts we've got, and where we're going with it. So yeah, stick around and yeah, I'll run through what we got so far in this workshop here. So behind me here is the car we're building. It's a 1988 VW Caddy pickup. For anyone who doesn't know, we're in the UK building this, so it's a right-hand drive car. I'll have a chat now, run through what we've done to the body, and then we'll talk about sort of engine and suspension afterwards. So yeah, kind of one of the first things we did was to completely strip the car out. So all the glass, all the doors, all the interior, everything gone. You can see the original colour. It used to be this kind of dark blue, repainted at some point in its life in this cream colour. And then we built a rotisserie to hold it, so it's kind of make it out here. So interfaces with the rear bumper mountings, adjustable for height, and then we can spin it around as well. So that's on the rear, then up at the front, same kind of thing, same frame. This one interfaces again where the front bumper would attach. So that allowed us to bring it up high, and we can spin it over. That's made work on the underside of it a real treat. A lot easier. I've had a lot of metal work on the underside to cut out and sort out, and just being able to tilt it and get access has been great. So we'll start the back, work forwards. So a big hole in the back, pretty rough cut still around all the edges. There's still lots to cut out here. We're probably going to lose these original tubs, but yeah, because we're sticking a engine in the back of this one, we needed all this space kind of cleared out. So we started cutting that out, built this kind of almost like space framey cage setup. So it's like semi-space framed, it's integrated through the body. We kind of wanted to keep the roll bars and everything within the profile of the body. So a lot of people, when they put roll cages in with these pickups, you can kind of come from the top of the suspension mount and come up through the back window and tie in with the roll hoop. Now that's structurally, that's exactly what you want to do. That's great. We kind of didn't want to have that look. As things have progressed with the car, it's kind of become inevitable that it's going to look pretty unusual. When we first started building it, we had this idea of it being real sleeper. That's kind of a little bit out the window when we see what we've had to do elsewhere, but hey, it's yeah, we still have those kind of ideas. So this structure is part that remains. It's all integral to the bodywork. It's welded in. There's roll cage passes through the sills. There's a couple of mounts in the corner here. This is like a sort of a version 1 subframe mount. We might change that later on. This bar is removable, and this one mounts the rear of the subframe, or the kind of mid of the subframe that goes in here, and it's got the suspension top mounts integrated into it. I will emphasize at the moment, nothing's like, well, not a lot is fully welded in place. A lot of stuff is just tacked. You'll see that throughout. So yeah, there might be some comments saying you haven't welded that properly. I'm fully aware of that, and yeah, we are, once everything's kind of finalized, we'll start welding it fully. These bars drop down at the back, and the subframe has a hoop that like connects underneath that integrates the gearbox mounts. That kind of make a bit more sense when I show you the rear subframe and engine and gearbox. It's all out at the moment, as you can see. It's been in and out a few times. So if you've seen on my Instagram, there's a video of the engine running. It has actually been in and running. It's just yeah, had to come out again, getting it back in and hooking it up and running it up again. But there's a few things we can do with the subframe and the engine removed, as well as allowing us more access in the back here. So if we move inside, so again, fully stripped out. We built this cage at the back, this hoop. The forward section is currently removed. It does bolt in, and at the moment it's going to remain as a bolt in, bolt out cage. That may or may not change down the line. For the time being, it's you can kind of see it's on the floor over here, but there is a forward section of this cage which bolts back in. It can't at the moment because the thing we've just recently been working on, these are part of it. This is the front subframe, front suspension conversion. I'll just talk about that in a sec. But otherwise inside, there's a bit going on here. So we're trying to get this seat mounted. This is just like a cheapy seat. Well, it's actually a really expensive seat, but it's kind of a scruffy one that we just had for quite a few years knocking about. It's kind of a bit broken. It's a Recaro Sportster seat. We've kind of decided we're going to run a pair of those, so expensive seat sadly to replace, but I'm going to put a pair of those in. So we're trying to get this seat mounted. It's involved some cutting out of the floor, some temporary sort of bits and pieces to get it in the right place, just to make sure we can kind of sit comfortably in this car. Part of that as well is the floor being cut out down here. So we're running a floor mounted pedal box. That's going to have a split or twin cylinders for the brakes, so a front and a rear cylinder, and then a hydraulic clutch as well. So that's all floor mounted. A bit more to come there. We're actually going to cut out more of the bulkhead. We're going to box it forwards. I can show you why that's possible. That wouldn't normally be possible on a Mark 1 Golf with Mark 1 suspension. With the setup we're running, we can do a bit more. So that's what we're going to do there. That gains a bit more room, and we've got a bit of chopping around for the seat to be mounted. Fundamentally, that it's not going to be hugely different from a standard Caddy. It's running the original dashboard will be installed in there again. The actual dials are gone. We're running Haltech engine management. I'll talk more about that later on. We're running one of their digital dashes. They've got a really nice kit, but it will be inset into what looks like a Mark 1 Golf dashboard. Gear lever will be custom made, going to be mounted slightly differently. Fundamentally, Mark 1 Golf inside. All right, so I'll have a quick sort of run through the front end of the car before we get onto the sort of subframe and rear end. The savvy viewers might have spotted that these are Porsche 17-inch rims. They're off a Porsche Boxster. It'll kind of make sense why it's those wheels in a minute. Kind of they're scruffy, another eBay purchase. They need a good refresh, and these got big balloon tyres on, but it's kind of ideal for us checking our suspension travel and clearance and such. So that's why those are there on the car. And why it's Porsche rims is because up the front here, we have installed a Porsche Boxster 986, so early Boxster front subframe and steering rack. It'll have the anti-roll bar and everything. It runs the struts. It runs entirely a Porsche Boxster front suspension setup. We had a front end of a Porsche that we used to build a jig, like a inverse jig thing. So we could position everything as it was in the Porsche, and we get our ride heights, everything right. I've got some the Donor gross original struts. They're all pretty rusty and gross, but they're ideal for mock-up. And I've got some coilovers that will be on the way for that. Once we've got those, we can finalise these strut top mounts. This is why this is a pretty raw, rough bit of tacked-in steel for the time being. But that's given us Porsche geometry, Porsche steering rack. We'll have a fuel tank in here. It's freed up this bulkhead area where once there was a steering rack directly on here, which is why I couldn't extend the pedal box forward, as I mentioned a moment ago. Now I can box that, extend the feet forwards, gain a bit more leg room, and then we'll run our radiators will be here. So the charge cooler, it's a turbocharged engine that's in the back, and we're doing a water to air charge cooling system rather than air to air as you would with perhaps a front engined car. So the charge cooler's here, protected up, wrapped up, just tempting place with some bolts, but we've got our radiator mounts, bottom mounts in here. So we've got a Fashion top mount, big radiator going in here, and then all the water lines will run back through what was the exhaust tunnel originally. We've cut away tons of the original arches and everything. We still need to cut more away for more wheel clearance on lock. So that's the front end, so full Porsche geometry. That's why I've got Porsche uprights. Compared to the Mark 1 Golf uprights, these are much beefier. Got the Porsche brakes and everything as well. So that's why it's Porsche up the front and it's Porsche at the rear. So let's go and have a little look at the rear. It's at just here. Okay, so we've talked about the body, what we've done at the back of the car, what's going on with the front suspension. And now here behind me is the rear subframe complete with the engine and transaxle mounted into it. If you follow my Instagram, you'll already know exactly what this engine is and what it's from. You'll know about the gearbox. If you're new here, then yeah, I'll run through it now. It's the subframe and the engine and gearbox in one package here. The whole thing mounts to the underside, bolts up from the underneath of the body. So I'll run through what we got here. So hopefully the camera angle's all right there. So this is an M838T. That's a 3.8 litre V8 twin turbo engine, flat plane crank. It's from a McLaren 650S. I think the donor car was 2015, it might have been early 2016, from a fire damaged crashed vehicle, a write-off. It was just an engine, no gearbox with it, almost no wiring with it. It is a running engine. Again, I said last summer we actually had the thing running. The gearbox, let me just grab you so I can show you a bit easier. So obviously the McLaren has a large automatic gearbox on it, paddle shift, fancy pants thing. And I did not have that. I didn't want that. That'd just be a nightmare to work with. A lot of electronics to worry about to control it. So what we got instead was from a fire damaged car, as it happens. But this is a 6-speed 4-wheel drive gearbox, but with the forward output sort of essentially removed. So it's now just in 2-wheel drive guys. It's from an Audi R8. It's the same as in a Lamborghini Gallardo. So there's the stamping here. It's got a limited slip differential in it. It's an H pattern manual gearbox. It's from an early V8 R8. Some bits were missing, so this is we've just recently made this cable end stop. So again, gear linkage is one of the things that's kind of quite high on the job list at the moment we're working through. But that's doesn't bolt straight up to a McLaren engine, of course. So you can see in here there is an adapter plate for the bell housing to match the R8 box up to the McLaren engine, and then there's a flywheel adapter to bolt the it's actually a Lamborghini, it is a Lambo flywheel, to bolt that up to the McLaren crank. Yeah, once we got that bolted up, that was a big milestone of the project. Kind of complete, because then we knew we could use the output from the engine and drive some wheels, so that was a big step. Subframe is essentially custom, well, it is all custom made to sit the engine and gearbox comfortably in, compact. The rear suspension mounts up to our subframe. Now this rear suspension is from a 996 Porsche 911. That's the entire suspension we're using. It's a little bit narrower than when it was in the 996, so it's got these cast kind of cradles for the multi-link. They are linked by some sort of separate bars. Normally in the Porsche we've remade those links a little bit narrower, just so it's not quite as wide as a Porsche 911, because we haven't got that much width in the Caddy. So that's the rear end. So there's this, can you kind of see it here, this bar underneath, this one here ties in with these ones here, so it kind of continues the tubular structure bolted through the bed of the car effectively, but continues that right through and links it all together. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, as I say, it's twin turbo. We're running charge coolers, so we've got to have a water to air charge cooler system packaged in around here. We've got the exhaust system to consider, so that's kind of another thing. Parts are arriving at the moment actually to build that, so I'll talk about that as we build it. But yeah, that's what we've got. Pretty compact packaging. It feels like we had a lot of room in the back of this car, but when it comes to it, it's going to be pretty cozy. So I'll talk a bit about how we're going to run this engine, because we haven't got any of the McLaren ECU or anything like that. None of that would be much good for us either, because we wouldn't be able to remap it or particularly tinker with it too much. Didn't have any of the wiring harness either, so it was a bit of a challenge wondering how we're going to run this engine. It runs twin drive-by-wire throttles as well, so that's a bit tricky to sort of find aftermarket ECUs that accommodate that. And a bit of asking around, I managed to find Haltech. I'd heard of Haltech before, I'd obviously seen a lot of their stuff used in a lot of projects, but having spoken to the Haltech guys, they had a new product that had not long come out, which would kind of satisfy all our needs and some more, in fact. So we had that kit on the car. We made a wiring harness. Took a long time to source all the correct connectors for all the OEM sensors and things, but got there eventually. Made a wiring harness. That's removed from the car now because we just need it out of the way while we're doing some fab work. But we had it running. So a big thanks to the guys at Haltech for their support getting the thing running. Obviously, a McLaren engine with a Lamborghini flywheel and stuff was some little intricacies with triggers, because it's got the McLaren camshafts that have their own trigger pattern, and then it's got the Lamborghini flywheel with its own trigger pattern. So we had a bit of support from those guys to get that working, and we did. We had it idling, so yeah, it's I can't wait to sort of get it back together with an exhaust and an intake system, and try and get some proper running out of the engine. But I'll show you the Haltech kit that we're using. It's super nice stuff. I'm like blown away by how good it is. I bought a few bits from them now, so I've even been back and bought some extras more recently, just because yeah, their stuff's real nice. Their software's really nice to use as well. So even as like an amateur sort of tuner, someone tinkering around with an engine, super easy, super friendly to use. So I'll show you what I've got, kind of a bit of a pseudo unboxing. Obviously it's all been unboxed and used, but I'll just run through what kit I've got. Haltech have got some really nice videos online showing proper detail about the stuff and proper knowledgeable explanations about things, but I'll just have a little talk about what I've got. I've got in here the wiring harness we built, some bits still just to be sort of wrapped up, finalised, but the lengths and everything are there now with it. It's kind of dressed as it needs to be. A couple of connectors had to come off to put some sleeving on. I'm going to leave that in the box for this video. It's a bit of a snake's wedding to get that out, but it's that's a universal harness that they provide for their Nexus R5 ECU. So I bought that one and then dressed it all around where it needed to be when the engine was in, marked out all the lengths, put the connectors on it, and had it running in a sort of rudimentary way. Again, my Instagram has a little video of the engine running, and you can see the wiring is really kind of rough on that because it's just laid in, not sleeved or anything. It's now sleeved, and it's kind of ready to go back in, hopefully for maybe one of the final times, depending on what we do with the sort of metal work prep on the car and the paintwork and things. So I'm sure it will go in and come back out again. But yeah, that's there ready to go. I won't go into too much detail about that because it's just a wiring harness, but I will talk about this pile of bits here, and we'll just go through and unbox a few bits now. I'll go through some of the bits I bought here. I'll start with the big boxes at the bottom. All nicely presented stuff from Haltech. We'll start at the bottom here. So this is the Nexus R5 engine management. It's an ECU. They call it a VCU because it's more than just engine management. It actually has a power distribution sort of module built into it. So it does all of the relays, all the fuses, everything is controlled within this for the whole chassis. So all my lights, wipers, everything I wanted to, cruise control, everything is all managed through this. So it's a vehicle control unit rather than just an engine control unit ECU. It's a VCU. I'm just going to keep calling it an ECU, no doubt, throughout all the videos, but here it is. So it's probably not boxed as neatly. In fact, it's sure it isn't boxed as neatly as when I got it because I've had it out and I put it away. But so you get your quick start guide and info about what else they sell. But this is the unit here, real nice like metal casing as well. So other aftermarket ECUs I've bought have been in like sort of plastic molded boxes. This is a proper, like, feels like a proper real nice unit. It's pretty big, it's a bit of a beast. So it has the heavy duty battery terminals because, as I say, this is more power distribution, so it does 25 amp outputs. Here you can see there's little like indicators for the status of those, as well as seeing it in engine management lights and whatnot, as how you sort of configure it. 8 amp outputs and then just general status. But so here it is. Here's the unit. Again, the wiring harness I bought is a universal one for this. It had all these connectors with 5 meters of tail off them, so I was able to then allocate the inputs as I needed and address them where I wanted. It has Wi-Fi, so you can tune it over Wi-Fi. The antenna connects in here, or you can plug in. It has USB-C here. You can plug directly into it and tune it as in a wired format, which is how I've been doing it. I tried the Wi-Fi just to test it. It works great, but I was plugged into the car playing with it. So that's it. That's the ECU, VCU. There we go, done it already. That the car will be running on. So that mounts inside the cockpit. That's going to be kind of where there would be like a center console in a Porsche car. Our car doesn't really have one, so it's going in that area. You'll be able to see the whole thing, and you'll be able to see these lights. Kind of make a bit of a feature of it in the car. That's that. So I'm pairing that with here. I'm pairing that with the IC7 display. So this is really nice. Again, Haltech high standards. So I'm going to unpack it one-handed here. It's kind of awkward. Again, quick start guide, another document guide. Again, it's not boxed properly because I just kind of threw it back in after using it. But here we go. So again, real nice like metal housing, good size. I think it's like 7-inch diagonal IC7. Pretty slim unit. Real nice display. Obviously I can't power it up and show you now. There's some, again, Haltech got some great videos. It's kind of pointless me doing this, but I'm just showing you what I'm using. So yeah, that'll mount on the dash. We've got like a bezel for it that'll fit in place of where the standard clocks are going. So that's that. It has a shift light set up across the top here, which are also kind of configurable, entirely configurable for many things like errors and warnings and all sorts. So as well as coming up on the dash, everything is super configurable with this. And when I come to do some tuning, I'll definitely try and do a bit of a video about what you can achieve with it, because it's so nice to use. So I'm really excited about getting that mounted and getting it used. I had it fitted when we fired up, so yeah, it's got like a kind of standard setup you can just run on it. It's super nice. So yeah, that's the dash we're running. Try and chuck these bits in here. Then next, this one here. So this is our CAN keypad. So this is just a 3x5, so 15 button keypad. That's mounting on this kind of middle of the dashboard. It's reachable from when, like, being harnessed in, so that's going to be ideal. And this does all our control of everything, so even from engine start. So there'll be a key for switching the car on, essentially. And then once ignition's on, everything's done off this keypad. Now I've stuck one button on it because I know that's going to be the start-stop button. But the other buttons, again, as with everything else, and it communicates over CAN as well, so it's super configurable. We'll have buttons for launch control, traction control, fuel pump overrides, boost map selection. So I'll have a few boost maps on here, and there's sort of toggleable, as many kind of as you like. Really, I'm going to run 4 different boost maps. We'll have things like selectable throttle pedal map, or just, there's so much we can do with it. I've kind of forgotten what other things I'm using these buttons for, but I've kind of already running out of buttons because there's so many things that you can do with this, and so many things combined with that ECU, VCU, one more time. So this is a little 3D printed bezel we made for it that just holds it at an angle, so it points slightly towards the driver. That's just something we just knocked up on the 3D printer just to mount that. It doesn't come with that, but they do have options that are available. There's several options out there. Again, real simple, just a 4-pin connector because it's CAN, so it's just got power and ground and a sort of CAN comms connection. So that's it. So that's our kind of like driver interface control setup. I really can't wait to get it all mounted and start using it properly. And yeah, this is so cool. Next, I've got in here, there's 2 things in here because I've just thinned out the boxes a little bit. We've got the tyre pressure monitoring system, communicates over CAN. So again, it's just a 4-pin. And the sensors I bought are ones that just screw on the valve caps. So it's like you could just chuck this on any car you're running Haltech on, essentially, and have that as an addition. It can display on the dash. You can configure all your warnings. You can do heaps with it. And then this one here was kind of important. So this is a thermocouple amplifier. So TCA8. It accepts 8 K-type thermocouples, and that's for the exhaust gas temperature. So I plan on putting a thermocouple in each cylinder. That's a really helpful tuning tool, and also just like engine health monitoring, checking for misfires, all sorts really. Given we're kind of starting from scratch with running this engine, I wanted to monitor as many things as I could. So this was a bit of a no-brainer to add to the package. So yeah, that's all the Haltech kit we're running. Again, I definitely advise checking them out. Their stuff is so nice. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's like a little intro to our project here at Garage 68. Thanks for sticking around. I didn't script anything, so that's why I was just chatting absolute breeze for a lot of that. But yeah, so I've talked about a few bits. So see the engine, chassis, the front end suspension. Didn't talk about brakes so much, but it's Porsche brakes, Porsche suspension, Porsche brakes. So yeah, I'm going to try and sort of document a few more bits. So there's a bit more fabrication work. I'm actually going to get on with a bit now. So I've spent a bit of time doing this video for you, but I'm going to crack on now with a bit of work. And my GoPro battery is about to die, so I won't be able to record that. But it's kind of mundane stuff, just a bit of chopping in the body just to move those pedals forwards and get the roll cage back in as well. So we'll get on with that. I'll take a few pictures, stick on Instagram, give my Instagram a follow if you don't already. And yeah, just fire some questions away as well in the comments. So if you've got some questions, I'll happily answer them for you. Yeah, give it a subscribe. And as I say, like if people are sort of keen and want to see more, then that really spurs me on to get a bit more content out there. So yeah, thanks a lot, and yeah, catch you around.